Folks, this is Screen Watching. We review the movies, we review the TV shows. My name's Dan Barrett, joined here by Simon Foster. Big week, long week. Man, this week just keeps on going. Folks, we're going to talk about Alien: Earth. It's a new Alien movie. Actually, it's a TV series. I'm the one reviewing that one, so I should be more across it. Simon, he's going to take a look at The Life of Chuck. This is another one of these movies where it's like, hey, movies, let's go and see these things that came out 6 months ago in the US. We've got some other things we're going to talk about. We've got some... Simon's going to discuss SMILLA's Sense of Snow. No, we're not talking about the 1997 Julia Ormond movie. We are talking about the new sci-fi epic, which is apparently based on the exact same thing that never used to be a sci-fi epic. That's on SBS On Demand. Simon's going to let us know his thoughts. There's Platonic Season 2 that's streaming now on Apple TV. There's Playing Gracie Darling on Paramount+. Me, I'm going to talk about the brand new Prime Video series called Butterfly. It's an action-adventure joint. And also, there was a movie that we reviewed on last week's podcast called Weapons. I got around to seeing it, so I'm going to give my 30 seconds worth of 2 cents. Folks, this is Screen Watching.
This is not like TV, only better.
Television! Teacher! Mother!
Secret lover.
What, that's it? That's your movie?
Well, I said that I had an idea for a movie.
Alright, Simon Foster, you like movies, right?
I've got a fondness for film. Hello, Dan Barrett. Hello, all of you out there in the great wide world of Screen Watching. Welcome to this week's episode. A week that has seen both highs and lows in my world, my friend, and I'll be very quick in referencing this. On Tuesday night, we had the annual general meeting of the Film Critics Circle of Australia, at which I was voted the president of said institution.
Ooh,
so
big mistake.
I am now entirely in charge of all things film criticky around Australia. Well, that's not true, but I was honoured, and it was a buzz to get that honour. So I'm very happy to be in that position.
How does one sort of actually put themselves forward for such a position? So, does everyone sort of stand around in a circle and talk about their thoughts on Splash 2, TOO?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about Splash 2, starring... Oh, I had on the tip of my tongue then and now I can't remember. Was it the kid from Big, David Moscow? No, it probably wasn't.
I always want to say it's William Ragsdale, but he was the star of Mannequin 2 on The Move.
That's right. Yeah, he had a fine career, but we get sidetracked. You can go to the Film Critics Circle of Australia website. You really should, if you're doing any kind of film critic work. You can qualify for this, for which you get a little card and you get to see movies for free. It's well worth checking out at fcca.com.au, I think. Now, having said that,
wait a second. I occasionally review movies.
I know. Why aren't you a member?
I don't know. I've never really even thought about it. Okay, this is a conversation for later.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but it's definitely worth doing. The downside of all of that is that a past president of the FCCA, a man who you and I know and love called David Stratton, passed away just a few hours ago as we record this, left an indelible mark on the Australian film industry landscape, the cultural landscape, I guess you could say. He's our Roger Ebert. He's got that sort of feel about him, that sense of celebrity, but also an incredible knowledge of film. He'd been ill for a long while, passed away at the age of 85. We just want to pay our respects to his survivors. Great man. Met him occasionally, didn't know him well. Mostly bumped into him at preview screenings in theatrettes and got scared that I'd have to sit next to him and strike up a conversation about film with David Stratton. That's a very daunting prospect. Not that he was unapproachable in any way. He was a lovely gentleman, but yeah, to get stuck into a, hey, have you seen Police Academy 4? And he dropped some sort of 1930s Polish documentary on you and you go, oh, what? I don't know.
I always got the feeling he'd be okay if you didn't strike up a conversation.
Yeah, look, I think so as well. Margaret could blather on. You could blather on with anyone. Margaret Pomerantz, his on-air co-host. I did a
3-hour, 20-minute chat with her once.
Oh, really? Over what?
I was interviewing her for, what was I working at? It must have been at Media Week back in the day.
Wow, okay. She's delightful. And she must be
really lovely.
Sadness now. They were both inherently good people who seem to like each other despite their on-air differences. It's kind of like you and I. We're the David and Margaret of podcasting.
Yeah, look, I mean,
David?
I've only met David once or twice. And I certainly remember, interviewing him over the phone once, and he was a little ornery, which is
really?
fine. Well, that's kind of, it's, I think part of the experience, really.
He's on brand. That's what he does.
Yeah, it's fine. And, it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway,
good guy.
David Stratton.
Absolutely. Simon Foster, let's do some reviews. Let's just start with the life of Chuck, can we?
When you look up at the night sky, it can tell you stuff about your future. It won't lie to you. It's pure that way.
You made a point at the top of the podcast that this film had been dancing around the release schedule and it had some sort of release patterns overseas, and it seems to have taken a while to get to Australia. Now, it's such a strange film, Life of Chuck, and I'm going to talk about it in sort of a few different elements here. I'll be quick. It only got released in the US at the start of June. And it had a bit of buzz about it, like it had Tom Hiddleston in the lead, and you got Jacob Tremblay in there, the kid from Room, and it's directed by Mike Flanagan, who'd done all the great scary stuff on Netflix, written by a young writer called Stephen King, who I think's got a big future ahead of him. So there's all these elements there that suggest it's a big sort of major film release. In the end, it's crept up to like 6 million at the US box office and about the same around the world, so it hasn't had any impact whatsoever on movie-going audiences, which is very strange. Then you see the movie. Now, it is one of the most unusual films I've ever seen. It starts off with a sequence featuring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan as two people who are connected, we learned, as ex-partners, but there's some sort of stranger connection going on as the world around them is starting to collapse. First, the internet goes down, there's a huge sinkhole in the middle of their town, planets start popping out of the night sky, and it's all, the only thing that's constant around the world is that everyone's celebrating this Charles Krantz, who we see on billboards and bus stops with the visage of Tom Hiddleston as, and you start to think this is so strange. This is like some kind of weird sci-fi thing. Then it shifts time and space, and you start going back through the life of a young man called Charles Krantz. We meet him as Tom Hiddleston, then we meet him as Jacob Tremblay, then we meet him as an even younger version of himself. And without giving too much away, and it would be a terrible shame to spoil this, and I think that's where the marketing guys had a real problem, because they couldn't focus in on what to sell without giving away too much of the story. In the end, it's a very life-affirming film. There's a great cast in there. You've got an elderly Mark Hamill as Charles's father. You've got, I don't know if you know the name Mia Sara, but she was...
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait. Are we talking about one Sloane Peterson?
That's exactly who we're talking about. Ferris Bueller's girlfriend. She has returned to film after a decades and decades long hiatus. She plays Charles's 60-year-old grandmother. Still the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. She has a scene in this which ties into Charles's love of dance. The young Charles watches her dance around her kitchen to Wang Chung's Dance All Days. And if I didn't get a big sobby weep going on watching that, I got to tell you, it was one of the most beautiful scenes I'd ever seen, to see this extraordinary actress, still very beautiful, dancing to one of the classic songs of her era. It's getting me all welled up just thinking about it. Which is exactly what this film did. In the end, all the pieces of the puzzle start to coalesce in the last sort of 20 minutes of the film. And you realise that Flanagan and Stephen King have done this kind of bait and switch on the heart of their film, and you are completely won over by the meaning in the film, what it means to Charles's life to have all these characters going in and out of his existence. And I've got to say, this was one of the most moving and beautiful and unique films I've ever seen in a long time. People know who listen to this podcast that pretty much all I crave in anything anymore is originality. If it's something looks like it's being tried for the first time, even if it fails, it's going to get points for me. This one feels very much like that. It's a really big, bold sort of swing at something, some kind of storytelling restructuring. We're all going crazy for weapons at the moment, which I guess you're about to towards the end of the podcast, and that has a similar sort of fractured, non-linear storytelling device at the centre of it. So does The Life of Chuck, and I would argue that The Life of Chuck does it just as well as Weapon does, but whereas in that film it was building up towards something absolutely terrifying, in this one it's building up towards something absolutely beautiful. Can't recommend The Life of Chuck more highly. And that's why I'm president of the FCCA. Use the word highly.
Yeah, I'm going to put in my audition now to make my way into this here esteemed group of critics, and I'm going to say that movie sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, and you know, with Chiwetel and Karen Gillan and Mia Sara, it's got all these great actors doing small bits. Even Matthew Lillard, old Scooby-Doo's mate Shaggy himself, turns up quite old in this. He has to do a big sort of exposition dump at one point, and he absolutely pulls it off. It's a really beautiful scene that him and Chiwetel have together. Just when it all sort of spins into place, you just sort of go, oh, wow, they went there and they absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard, I saw do a couple of episodes of The Good Wife a couple of years back, and really surprising. Like, he's definitely, obviously, Matthew Lillard, and I wouldn't say he's evolved into, like, a fine character actor, but he's certainly sort of evolved into, like, sort of interesting middle-aged figure.
Sure. Yeah. And it's interesting that Tom Hiddleston's been given the real focus in the marketing of this, because I mean, he plays Charles Krantz. It's his story at the heart of this, but he's not in the whole film. And much of what he does is a big song and dance number, which he's, you know, quite famous for. He does the talk show thing where he gets up and does a dance, almost as much as Sam Rockwell does. But it's a very sweet character that he's playing, very much unlike the Lokis and what he might have been known for otherwise. And if you don't connect with this, you might sort of feel it's very schmaltzy and very sentimental. But if you find some deeper meaning in it and can appreciate the effort that Flanagan and King have gone to tell this story, I think you'll just fall in love with it.
When you said he played Loki, I thought you said Logie, and it got me thinking, where's the like biopic, the John Logie Baird story? That's what I'd like to know.
Now, Tom Hiddleston would be good. Matthew Lillard would be good as Logie as well.
Yeah. It's a role with a lot of possibility. Anyway, Simon, let us move on. If you are looking for a movie that really screams originality, like maybe a movie's not what you're after, maybe it's a TV show, which is the 35th installment in the Alien franchise. Let's watch a clip.
It's like a zoo, but the animals got out.
This ship collected 5 different life forms from the darkest corners of the universe. Monsters.
All right, Simon, this is a tough one to talk about, really, because...
Okay.
Here's the thing. I don't think there is any argument at all while watching this TV series, which we should say it's from Noah Hawley. He's the gentleman that's behind the Fargo adaptation on TV a couple of years back.
He does good work.
Yeah. He also... I've got a Noah Hawley issue, but we'll talk about it in just a moment. Sure. He also did a TV series, Legion, based on like a Marvel... X-Men type character. Now, Fargo, I think, was fairly exceptional TV, except there was something about it that never really felt completely... Like, the word isn't authentic, but really, it didn't really feel genuine, and it almost felt like there was a remove from legitimate artistic ambition to really being kind of a reflection of a reflection.
Yes.
Like, it was trying to capture the spirit of the
I know
Fargos.
exactly where you're going with this with regard to Alien Earth, but I seem to hear you get there.
Yeah, so I got a bit of a cough today, so I'm trying to work through that as well. I apologise to all. So, obviously, he was trying to do the Coen brothers, and it wasn't really his authorial voice. It was the Coen brothers, but then not quite the Coen brothers either, because he's not quite as funny or as sort of slightly off as those guys are.
Yeah, sure.
And that's because he's not them. Like, that's just the reality of it. He's not them, and nobody could really be them. So Noah Hawley's here creating this TV series, Alien Earth. What he's done is, much in the same way as he's done the, Coen Brothers stuff with Fargo, he's come at this and he's adapted Alien and, to an extent, Aliens, and created a prequel series that jettisons the other Ridley Scott prequels. He's created his own prequel to those 2 films. And so, again, he's kind of playing in other people's wheelhouses, but particularly Ridley Scott. And when you're watching it, I really just felt that same thing I have while watching his Fargo, where I never really quite felt that it was authentically him. So from a writing perspective, it never really quite feels entirely right. And then the other thing, and it goes to what you were saying in that review of Life of Chuck, where you were talking about how much you're prizing originality. I found myself sitting on the couch watching the first 2 episodes of this, which is streaming now on Disney+, and it really felt like it was someone doing an homage to Alien and to a lesser extent Aliens. And I've kind of seen that before. What I really like about the Alien franchise broadly is that for the first, bunch of Alien movies, it was them doing a different genre every time. First one's a sci-fi film, second one's a war film, third film is a prison movie, fourth one is a bizarro French, fantasy fairy tale.
Yeah. Well, the first one, I'd even say the first one's more like a haunted house story or a slasher film.
Yeah, look, can totally go with that. So it feels very much into a very sort of specific type of a genre movie.
Sure.
And I kind of feel like he's not really choosing a genre with this one. It just kind of feels like it's a pastiche of every other generic sci-fi thing from like the last sort of 40, 50 years. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's its own thing. And so while I'm watching this, there is no argument from me that this is very well-made television. You got some very good performances all the way through this. You've got, amazing sort of visual style. Like, it looks great. There is, I'd love to see this up on, the biggest possible TV screen to see exactly, is there anything dodgy happening with the special effects? Because on the small screen, it passes that test really, really well. I'd like to see it just blown up a bit just to see, am I actually seeing what I think I'm seeing? It looks great, it feels great, but also it kind of doesn't feel great at the same time. I just reached the end of 2 hours and just kind of, I wasn't inspired by it. And it's just disappointing, I think, broadly.
All right.
I know you love it, so
No, I don't. That's the thing.
Really?
I am not. When I got very early access to the screeners, and I too have only watched the first 2 episodes at the moment. Which
I thought you'd watched the bulk of it.
No,
you seemed very enthused the other day.
Well, I sort of a long while back, and it was the same night we saw something at IMAX. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I think it was Fantastic Four.
Might have been Fantastic Four, and you came out, and I remember we were standing in a group, and I said, "Hey, guess what? I've got the screeners to Alien Earth," and you went, "Oh, wow, already?" And I'd watched it, and I even remember there saying, "You know what? I'm not going to say anything because I'm not overwhelmed by these first 2 episodes." For me, it is all those things that you say. It's beautiful to look at. It's got some great creature effects work. The monsters are great. The cast is generally good given what they're asked to do. I really like Sydney Chandler as Wendy out front of this. People like Oliphant is in there. Australia's own Essie Davis is very good, although she hasn't had much to do in those first couple of episodes. But
she's got enough. She makes an impact.
Yeah, exactly. So the unfolding of the story takes place. Although the alien creature is very much involved, the crash of the spacecraft, the creation of sort of this otherworldly type Earth where the buildings, where the major cities are and the crash takes place, that's all very kind of un-alien. And I can see Hawley trying to go down a different path with this story to create a small screen sci-fi story that has forever been famous as a very big screen movie experience.
Well, I mean, here's world building, and the thing that I guess particularly Aliens, although certainly present in Alien, is just the idea of that corporate Weyland Yutani brand. And so he's really trying to create a corporate structure which is dominating Earth. And so if you're going to do a more than 2-hour story, you do need to grow that world out somewhat, and he's going down that path from what I can tell.
Yes.
I get all those choices, but can I just interrupt briefly?
Yes.
One of the things that frustrates me a little bit is that it's a prequel to these, and the fact it's a prequel does a couple of things. One, it means that the first film that we know, being Alien, to my mind, because it's the first time that the audience meets these horrible creatures, that should be the first time that really humanity is meeting those creatures. When suddenly this is set 2 years beforehand, it kind of just sort of almost cheapens that experience of the feature film. So that kind of bothers me a little bit.
Narratively, it has to, though, for this for the developments of Alien and especially Aliens to take place. Does it need
to though? Why can't this be set just after Alien, or even at the same time? It doesn't need to be a prequel.
Yeah. Okay.
Because don't forget, we've got characters who are waking up in hypersleep, or from hypersleep rather.
The first 5 minutes of this almost exactly like the first 5 minutes of Ridley Scott's Aliens.
Yeah,
So,
purposefully so, because Noah Hawley just echoes.
Yep.
Yeah, so you've got that. And then the other thing as well is that if this is a prequel to the first two Alien movies and jettisoning everything else, why do the aliens all just look different and not exactly the face huggers and the bigger aliens that we've seen in the other films? Like, these aliens take on different shapes as well. So to my mind, if you're doing a prequel, you kind of need to hold to everything else without introducing new elements.
See, now that tells me that we're at a different point in the alien mythology and the alien laws life cycle, in that a lot of people, and I don't think it's any surprise that this turns up on Hulu/Disney Plus, because a lot of people of a certain age group will know Alien by legend and by the strength of the brand, but I don't think they're weighing into those elements of Ridley Scott's Alien or James Cameron's Aliens or the other films as much as we are, as having experienced them at our age in cinemas. So But it is IP. Like, if you're going to be doing an IP thing, you should be hewing to the IP. Like, I'm not such a stickler that I'm like, oh, well, in this, they did make a brief reference to whatever. Like, it's not like small little minutiae. They haven't got toenails in the movies.
Yeah. It's not like small little minutiae. It's like really just like the big obvious thing, which is that the aliens that we've all seen and like had as part of our pop culture for decades now look like this. And so when they don't look like that and it's supposed to be a prequel, it doesn't feel right, and I don't know what you're doing there.
To me, Alien Earth is kind of like those spin-off comics or spin-off not so much fan fiction or fan novels, but spin-off stories we get from the Star Wars universe or the Star Trek universe, which take place kind of on the periphery of the real action, what's really going on. So in that regard, I'm allowing them their swings, I'm allowing them their indulgences to make this work, and for me, like, I'm keen to get back and have a look at it, but it wasn't quite the groundbreaker. I mean, can you remember the last Alien film that was a real like groundbreaker, must see pop culture moment?
It came out in 1986.
Exactly right. Even Alien Romulus, which we all agree was really good.
I didn't enjoy it that much. I thought it was fine, but it didn't set my hair on fire.
So as a re-energizing of the brand and the Alien sort of mythology, I'm cool with what this does, even though I don't think it's quite the home run that I hoped it would be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's good. I'll be sitting through watching every episode.
Yeah, as will I.
Yeah, but yeah, I wanted to love this so much more than I do.
Dan Barrett, just off the top of my head, what else have you been watching?
You know what? I wanted to... So we do a little rundown every week. We do a Word document it's a Google Doc.
And when you say we, you mean me?
Yeah, you do it. And then usually like a day or two beforehand, I'll drop in like maybe a title if I remember to do it.
And by a day or two beforehand, you've been meaning like 7 or 8 minutes beforehand.
Well, a couple of days ago, you'll notice that I put into the rundown Alien Earth and in brackets probably.
Yes.
Now, I was actually prepared at the very last minute because to my mind, you love that Alien Earth series, so I just felt that going into it. Okay, so I was prepared to write down, no, I'm going to hold off Alien Earth and do that as a what else have you been watching, and instead focus on Butterfly. Now, what I'd heard about Butterfly, which is a brand new TV series streaming right now on the Prime Video, is that it's Daniel Day Kim as a spy, and the other thing that I'd heard about it was that it's very Alias-like. Now, I really, really like this TV show Alias.
You love your Alias. You love your 24. You love that sort of stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I'm quite into it. It's a preferred TV genre.
Yes.
And I kind of thought that if this kind of achieves the same joys that one gets from Alias, part of what we're doing here shouldn't just be to say, hey, look, this is the big thing that's come out this week. Instead, part of it should also be hey, this is really, really cool. And sure, everyone might be talking about Alien Earth, but stick with me for a few minutes. Let's instead focus on Butterfly and explain why it is that you should be watching this and prioritizing it.
Sure.
And so I thought Butterfly is going to be the series to do this for me. And I'm watching it for like the first sort of minute or two, and it opens with Daniel Day Kim's in a karaoke lounge. He's obviously, because we know that he's going to be a spy, that he's nowhere near as drunk that he claims to be, nor what he claims to be. And there are two guys in the karaoke room who are like, your mate over there is like, no, I didn't invite him. I thought it was your friend. And those two drunks really care that much at that point. Okay, and then he steps out of there and he's really just, completely sober and doing spy stuff from that point in. And I was watching that going, yeah. And then there's a young woman that gets introduced into it, and she's doing all these costume changes, and there's a fairly sort of elaborate fight scene, which is not quite as exciting as it kind of wants to be, but like it's still pretty good. And I was like, yeah, this is feeling a bit like Alias. And then about 10 minutes in, it's like, this show's just awful. This is just junk. So it was a real shame, because I really wanted to be a major disruptor here on this podcast. Just bring my anarchic sort of throw into this. But the premise of this one's basically, you've got this guy, he's a spy, he kind of formed like this sort of agency type group, which have gone rogue, and so he's on the outer with the group that he formed. But these days, his daughter is now a spy working for them. Now, him and his daughter are estranged for reasons. And so he's come back into her life just at the same time that, stuff's going down. It's all a bit forced. The relationships never really quite feel entirely authentic. The action, as I said, isn't really ever quite as good as it kind of wants to be. But it's good and it kind of looks all right, and it's got so much promise, and it's got Daniel Day Kim in it. And Daniel Day Kim, I adore. You mentioned 24 a few minutes ago. He broke out in that, so that was pre-Lost. And he was just one of these actors who, he was appearing in 24. I think maybe he was like an X-Files episode or two around the place. And
he had the diamonds in his face in James Bond, didn't he? Wasn't that him?
Did he? I don't think
sure
it was him, but maybe it was. I'm not sure. The thing is, he was like a jobbing actor who was just doing a lot. So in that sort of late 90s going into the early 2000s, he was kind of just that guy that was everywhere. And he was always just welcome on your screen. It's like, oh, it's that guy. No one quite knew what his name was, but like you just kind of went, oh, wait, no, that's that guy that I keep on seeing everywhere. And I really like him. He's got this really great charisma about him. And then he turned up and Lost, and like everyone suddenly goes, oh, his name's Daniel Day Kim, and we're going to watch him now for the next 7 years and love him.
Yep.
Yeah, and I do. I think he's really fantastic. He's done TV since, and none of it's really been quite to, what his potential was. And I thought this might be the show, and it's just not. Watch the first episode maybe, but
look at all the stuff he's done.
Yeah,
I'm just looking up and down his list here.
Like an incredible career, but yeah, he's never really had that one sort of great defining role yet. And I really want a butterfly to be it for him. Didn't happen. And Simon, I'm just going to give my other thing just briefly, and we can
just do it
go
very
on.
quickly.
I watched Weapons. It's everything that people say that it is. I don't know it's going to hold up particularly that well to rewatches. I know you've rewatched and you really liked it a second time.
Yeah.
But I mean, like a couple of years from now, where like the hype sort of died down, I just sort of sit on the couch going, yeah, I might click on this one. Look, I really like it. I think it does a lot of things really right. The only thing is that the reveal as to what's going on that's caused all the kids to run away from the house, I don't think is anywhere near as interesting as the speculation as to what might have caused it.
Agree that. Yeah, I'm the same. When they finally show the shark, it's just a big rubber shark. The rest of the movie is much better than that. So yeah, I get that, and the supernatural twist that comes with it, I'm like, oh, okay. So in a sense, it was almost a bit disappointing. I was expecting there to be like another slight twist to it, and it's just kind of that. But even it still played well enough. Yeah, for me, the thrill for me was there's that originality again, the structure of the story, and how, I mean, at one point he just, and I referred to this in my review last week, how he just decides to, you know what, I'm not going to bother about the kids anymore. We're going to tell a dirty cop story and a drug addict story, and then when you least expect it, we're going to bring it back to the horror movie, and the whole cinema's going to gasp. And that's exactly what happened. The scene in the stairs. So I did love it. It's a second time around. When I first saw it, a lot of the humour came out of it, and I think the preview audience, kind of the bigger crowd, sort of got into the humour of it. When I saw it again, literally 2 days later, 48 hours later with Fiona, there wasn't the laughs. There wasn't quite the huge crowd for a 1:30 session in the afternoon, so maybe the bigger crowd sort of played into the humour side of it, but still, everyone enjoyed it. So yeah, I can see why it's proving a hit.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I think definitely worth a trip to the multiplex. Now, Simon, you've got a smattering of shows that you want to belt through.
Yes, I will smatter through these very quickly. SBS On Demand have the world premiere showings of SMILLA's Sense of Snow. You mentioned at the top of the show that this is a reworking of the Julia Ormond film. You're right, and I've said this to my good partner a couple of times, that I don't remember any sci-fi element from the original. That's because there was none.
Exactly.
This has been given a kind of a spin, taking place in the very near Nordic future. Have you got the actress's name in front of you?
I do not.
Okay, she is Philippa Costa-Volda, who is the daughter of Nikolai Costa-Volda.
Okay.
Now, she has been the talking point in my household as to whether this show works or not. She has a very, very steady, still, almost droll delivery manner which has infused the whole show. This is a very, very understated piece of storytelling. There's so many quiet spaces, so many dark shadows. All of it, I think, comes from trying to match the actress's presence on screen to try to give an overall look and feel of the show. I'm in, and I'm kind of digging it. The other part of the household is like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't know if I want to keep going with this. You're going to have to be patient with it and decide for yourself if this actress's style and look is to your liking. But certainly quality television. It's very well made, and I can see what's... I wonder how SBS got the world rights to it. I haven't asked her that. It's kind of a... Because you have views on whether that's a good or a bad thing, don't you?
Oh, look, I mean, we weren't going to talk about this, but I've just got this... So SBS, for whatever reason, are the first broadcaster in the world to play this program. And I kind of feel that when you drop a program like this, particularly something on SBS, which is, it's always going to be a little bit niche and whatever, you're going to get that attention from, like, TV Tonight will give you a little bit of coverage. You might see something on one of the other TV blogs or newsletters around the place. Like, I made a brief mention of it in the newsletter purely because it struck me as interesting. It was this world premiere. But broadly, you're not going to get that much coverage. It's not really going to be sort of a major cut through. So your awareness, like the audience awareness of this program is not going to be particularly that strong. The only reason that people will be drawn to it is for the same reason that they'd be drawn to it at any point, which is that, there's a TV series based on SMILLA's Sense of Snow. I kind of remember the movie, or I've read that book. You're going to get that bump later on, but you're also going to get a bump of, once it's actually debuted somewhere around the world, there's like a bit of pre-awareness around it. And it's kind of this thing of whenever you get a movie that gets released in Australia like a week or two before the US, when that sort of publicity cycle starts up where there's mentions on podcasts and interviews and all that kind of thing, it just kind of, things just kind of come and go. Or if you leave a movie way too late to be released and you've kind of missed that publicity cycle, like there's just something missing from that just awareness and hunger that people have. And so when you drop something as a world exclusive, like on SBS On Demand, like, a few months before it gets played, like at the various sort of TV festivals around the place, and gets that one or two obligatory mentions on your Deadlines and your C21s and all the other like interesting TV sites, like, I don't know, it's just like, I'm not sure. I just don't know it necessarily gives you the bump. I'm not sure people are as excited about it as people are, I'm sure, in the building at SBS.
Valid points. The other thing I watched, or the other couple of things I watched very quickly was...
also, I should say, this isn't like a strongly held view. It's just kind of like a thought.
Good thought. Good thought.
I don't want people to think that this is like a soapbox discussion.
No one's tuning in for that. Goodness. Platonic on Apple TV. This is season 2 of the Seth Rogen Rose Byrne comedy series, which was one of my favourite things a couple of years ago. They absolutely refined. That's a word. Chemistry and spirit of the first season. It has some very funny stuff in it, these first 2 episodes. The characters are certainly different. There's been some growth in the characters over the period that they've been off air, despite there not being a huge sort of passage of time between the end of the first season on screen and the start of the second season.
Well, the end of the first season was a bit of a time jump anyway, and so there was a lot of growth between both characters at that stage.
Exactly right, yeah. So a lot of laughs in this. They have great chemistry, and I loved it. So Platonic is on Apple TV, and a new Paramount Plus...
You know what? I haven't watched it only because I really liked that first season. I didn't see a need for a second season.
And you didn't want... Oh, okay. You didn't see a need for a second season.
Well, because they wrapped it up. Like, that was the end of the story. He matured and grew, and there was no need for that friendship anymore. Like, that was kind of the end of the season.
Yeah, okay. Good call. The other thing I watched is Paramount Plus's Playing Gracie Darling, which is a locally shot... I guess you could call it kind of an Australian Gothic or a bushland Gothic story about a seance that goes wrong, the curse that falls upon a group of young women who all live in this bushland town, and how it impacts all the residents that live around them. It's kind of good to see a contemporary sort of genre story being told, but the first couple of episodes play into some fairly conventional sort of scary stuff kind of tropes, and well made, but not particularly remarkable in any way. That's what else I've been watching.
All right. Well, Simon, that actually brings us to the end of this here podcast.
Oh, really?
And
That seemed quick.
it seemed quick for us.
Wow. Rick Yoon. Dan, I want to just clarify the mistake I made earlier. It's not Daniel Day Kim, who was in Die Another Day. It was Rick Yoon. So my apologies for getting that wrong.
Yeah, I was pretty certain. Now, Simon, I wanted to end this with 2 quick spoilers for Alien Earth.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't want spoilers on it, maybe you stop listening. But it does 2 things that just really frustrate me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Number 1 is this is set 100 years from now.
Right.
Yes, I think 95 years from now. Why is it that characters care about 20th century pop culture?
Good point.
In a way that
I know
people...
exactly the scene you're talking about. Yep.
Well, there's 2 things. I mean, one, you've got the character who's like, he's listening to like baseball games from like the 1990s, and it's like, well, why would he?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, someone in 2025, you know, is barely listening to like old stuff like that now, let alone, you know, someone from so far into the future. Okay, and this is something that used to do in like Star Trek. I think Star Trek Voyager was the one that was probably most sort of egregious for this, where, let's all go on a holodeck and enjoy that pop culture that is enjoyed by like boomers who are watching, you know, the Star Trek. And it's always, you know, let me enjoy this old culture from the late 20th century, ignoring the 3 centuries in between. It's always just, very frustrating. And who's the baseballer? It was like a 1977 Hall of Famer. I forget.
Roger Clemens.
I think it was Roger Clemens. I'm Australian. I don't care about American baseball.
I watch it all the time. It's all I watch. I love it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, why would he even know? Really?
Go Cardinals.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is that I'm really tired of like references to Peter Pan and the Lost Boys and all that stuff. And the thing with this is that you've got the main character played by Sydney
Chandler,
daughter of Kyle Chandler.
Yes, it is.
Yes. You've got that character, and it makes sense for her. She's a little girl that seems to like Peter Pan because she's watching the Peter Pan movie as she's being transferred into the robot body. Okay, so that's clearly happening for a reason, and she sees the robot body before she goes under, and she calls her Wendy. So, like, it totally makes sense for that character to want to be Wendy as her, you know, new name as a grown-up robot. But why are all the other kids subjected to being named after other characters from Peter Pan when, like, it's not their journey? Like, it's... Like, I just don't understand why any of those characters would be happy being named Smee.
Wow. Okay. You've heard it here first, everyone.
It just makes
Daniel
no
Barrett
sense, Simon.
Hates
It makes
baseball
no
and
sense.
Peter Pan. Well, you heard it here first. He's a man of the people, our Dan Barrett. Hates baseball and Peter Pan. Wow.
Simon, here's the thing. Here's what you need to understand. I love Batman, so from here on in, I will be referred to as Bruce Wayne, and you, because you're my co-host, you are now Dick Grayson. Congratulations, that's your name. Just accept it and go for it.
I've been called Dick before. Don't worry. That happens quite a bit around here. So, does this bring us to the end of the podcast?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Folks, this has been Screen Watching. Simon, where do people find you?
They can go to Screenspace on the Substack page. My Screenspace newsletter is there for paid or free subscribers. You can check out all things Screen Watching over at Facebook at Screen Watching Podcast, on YouTube at Screen Watching. And our best movie in 1987 was a podcast we used to do. I'm very excited about it. It at some point being picked up and continuing. We're still going to do the Ishtar version, the Ishtar episode, which I think is going to be quite the episode. But where can they find you, Dan Barrett?
Folks can find me at alwaysbewatching.com. It's a newsletter that comes out. It's got all the stories you need on TV and streaming. And yeah, then otherwise I walk the earth and people can find me there. Folks, this has been Screen Watching. We'll catch you next week. I'll see you then.